Hello, arcade gamers, and welcome back to Biggie D's Arcade. Tonight we're doing a chill and chat, but it's a very special event chill and chat. This is like probably the biggest show I'm going to have or have had on this channel since I started it. We have Shilo and we have Glen tonight on the show, and we're going to be talking only New Wave toys tonight. So let's say hi to Shilo. How you doing tonight, Shilo?
Good day, everybody. I'm doing really good. Thank you very much for having us.
And Glen, how you doing tonight?
Have my margarita. I am doing good.
I've got my beer here as well. Mine's a Sonoma Beer Company. I was in Sonoma yesterday, or not Sonoma, I'm sorry. I was in Sedona, not Sonoma, Sedona. And here's my 32-ounce
Sedona.
beer.
My Sedona.
And this is Sedona Sunrise Lager, 4.5%, in a 32-ounce can. Beautiful can, though. And
Where's Sedona?
Sedona is just north of Phoenix. It's about an hour and a half north of us.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
And it's in the Red Rocks. And there's a ton of hiking in that area. There's a forest called the Coca-Cola Forest. And it's just a beautiful area of the country. And we spent the last couple of days there. My dad traveled to Phoenix from Dallas. He's here visiting. And we just did a bunch of hiking up there and enjoyed the cooler weather because it's about 100 here in the desert. It was only about 85, 90 there.
Nice.
But had a good time. And let's say hi to everyone who's made it into the chat so far. It looks like we got a full house. Looks like we got Jason here. He's going to be our moderator tonight. So Jason will be keeping tabs on everyone in the chat, making sure we don't have anything in there we don't want to see, as well as Steps. She'll also be one of our moderators as well. I see Adam, Brent Metz. Let's see, Rob Cat, the Universal Vault. New Wave Toys is here as well. Good to see your company is in the chat.
That's our boy Eduardo right there.
Good to see him.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? We got Mike Hawkhurts is here. Virtual Robots Revolt. And Calvin Wong. Ritual Dello, Papa Brad's Gaming. Good to see Papa Brad. Brooklyn Menace. Carl O. Matt Astra Gaming. Rexer Show. Kevgret. Got a lot of people here tonight. And we've also already got a super chat. We got a $2 super chat sent from Moeller Medic. Says, sent from the Rexer Show. Root beer sounds good. So it sounds like Rexer Show sent everyone over. Appreciate that. And let's get into our discussion. So we're going to be talking mostly Golden Tea tonight because that's the new product. That's the one that's for pre-order right now. You guys want to start and just kind of give us a little bit of a rundown on what this is and what we'd be getting and what options we have?
Yeah, I would love to talk about Golden Tea. Not that I haven't talked about it like ad nauseum. we could talk about it more. Yeah, so again, it goes back, Glenn. We've been working on this now for, boy, I think this project's been going on for 2 years. And we initially tried to get Golden Tea 4 running. And we couldn't do it. We just can't get the hardware right to get it running. And so we had to change course again, and we went back to these original 6 games. And all this time, in parallel, Glenn and his team have been working on a new Trak-Ball, and playing Golden Tea on our RepliCade cabs is a lot different experience than it is on a full-size controller, right? Mm-hmm. So, in fact, we're making some changes because we're getting really a lot of inconsistency with the if anybody out there owns Missile Command, our Missile Command ball spins, right? It's on ball bearings, and that's what we have currently. But we're changing it. If you happen to have one of our Centipede cabs, the Centipede trackball's a lot different. It's a lot smoother, but it doesn't spin. And we're just finding in our testing that changing the gameplay on the RepliCade to more of a not so much you're spinning it as hard as you can in a certain direction, but more of a, I guess you could say, a gentle gestures, and not, just kind of going in the direction. It's a little bit of a different playing experience. But that's why we have the real arcade trackball stick. And that's, of course, like I just mentioned, Glen's new trackball is in the stick. And if you're looking for a real arcade accurate experience, that's the answer. So not to say it's a bad experience on 1/6 scale, but it's just different, And so this kind of creates a whole new category for us with the real arcade stick, which we could talk a little bit more about. Definitely, being that it's meant to be like, the control panel is detached almost from the original cab, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice stick, meaning that it's made out of quality wood. It's real T molding. It's running on a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection to the cab. So when you're plugging your cab into the TV, you have this wireless connection. You can kick back on the sofa or coffee table, whatever it might be, and you feel free to gesture and spin and move your hands as much as you want. And hopefully you're not going to break anything or knock any vases over or anything like that. But it's really meant to just give you that more of an arcade accurate experience. And we're really happy with the results so far. And it's basically a stepping stone for us to, get into more full size arcade products.
Got it. Okay, so this is new. This is something you've never done before, is have like arcade accurate controls, which are more in line with the real size of a real arcade control panel or control. And you're starting with the trackball and Golden Tee. Was there a reason you guys wanted to start with the trackball and you wanted to start with this title?
Well, like, again, the title's been in the works for a while. And, just the experience on the smaller cab just lends to this controller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like from what I just explained, right, just on the gaming experience. So if you're looking for just a casual Golden Tee, I'm going to play it once in a while, it's fine on just playing on the RepliCade. But if you really want a really super accurate experience, you really kind of got to go over to the real arcade stick and play it that way.
Yep. And I saw you had posted a video on YouTube this week showing the actual playability of the smaller unit, just the RepliCade by itself. And is it playable in that form? Would you say you could actually get a decent score or a good round of golf on this miniature micro trackball?
You can. And in fact, that video is of the prototype with the missile command trackball.
Okay.
So you can get shots that are great, but it's a little inconsistent, and we just want to have a consistent gameplay on the smaller cab. So that's why we're switching out that trackball, and that's why we have disclaimers everywhere. That's not the final. That's prototype shown. That's not final, etc. All that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's just, in case people are thinking that they're going to be ripping on that small trackball, it's just not the way it can be played in 1/6 scale. I mean, we try to be as arcade accurate as possible, but we always need to make a little bit of, compromises just because of how tiny our controls are, right? Mm-hmm. And we pride ourselves on the games being, the arcade machines being fully playable and a good experience. But again, I mean, you're shrinking it down to 1/6 scale, so there are some limitations that are, it's just, it's just physics. It's just engineering, and we'd get it as good as we can, so.
Yeah, I was showing my dad today, because he's in town, the Ghost and Goblins and the Frenzy. And my dad actually remembered Frenzy back when he was younger, seeing that in the arcade. So I thought that was interesting that he recognized that arcade. And first question he asked me was, "Can you play that in that size?" And I was able to say yes, you can. but it's very difficult. You know, you don't want to break the joystick. You got to be, and it's difficult to play with those small buttons. But it is actually playable. Like if someone asks you, you can say yes, it is.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because it is totally playable, and for a game like Berserk or Frenzy, I mean, it lends itself a lot better to 1/6 scale.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, like Paul Dean, who helped us debug the firmware and the ROM for those two games, he was at one time world record holder for Frenzy, played for 42 hours straight or something, which still blows my mind. I don't know how those guys go to the bathroom and stuff, but anyway, he's played for 42 hours. He's also Spy Hunter champ, and I mean, he racked up some wicked scores just playing on the RepliCade. So it's kind of that, you know, that whole thing where it's the player. You know, it's not so much the machine; it's the play. Who's playing it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, if you really know what you're doing. We pride ourselves on making sure that the ROMs are accurate, arcade accurate, and that's why we get guys like Paul Dean to help us.
Yeah.
And if you know what you're doing, you're going to be able to rack up a really good score. And we think that's for all of our machines, you know, so far, even Street Fighter, you know. So
Yeah, one thing I was going to try and do is I have what's called an At Games Legends Ultimate, and it does what's called OTG mode, where you can plug in USB and do controls from whatever you're plugging into it, and you can send that signal to the At Games and play it on a big arcade. I tried plugging the Frenzy into that, and I was able to get the video signal up on there, but I wasn't able to get the OTG to work on the Frenzy. Maybe Glen can answer this. What's causing that? Is there something we can do on our end to make that work?
As far as using external controllers on like Frenzy and stuff like that?
Yeah, it seems like some controls work, some do not. And one that I'm in particular trying to get working is the At Games Ultimate Legends and the OTG to sync and work with the Frenzy.
It all has to, if Shilo, correct me if I'm wrong, has to do with the way the controller was configured on the board. So my guess is just that the At Games Legends buttons are just not mapped in an appropriate way for the Frenzy. Because if I plug in an Xbox controller or an NES clone controller, works fine. I can play Frenzy with an NES controller all day long. So it's probably just the At Games, just the way it's being mapped.
Okay. Yeah, there's certain controllers that work. The Xbox One controller works no issues. I've plugged in some just generic USB retro bit controllers. They have worked. But then there's others that do not. So it's hit or miss, and it'd be nice to have like a compatibility list or something.
The more basic controller will be better for a game like Frenzy and Berserk. It's a simple, you know, up, down, left, right, and a button. And once you start getting into more advanced controllers, there's so much more with the chip that it has to initialize. That can be a problem. So simpler is better. Just like Frenzy right there.
I'll add this. Here's Frenzy the dog saying hi to everybody.
Hey, Frenzy. And you just got that dog?
Well, I've had her now for 6 weeks.
Oh, great. And how old is she?
Very much. She is 14 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what breed is that?
It's a mixed breed. It's a Bernese Mountain Dog, and it's mixed with like a friggin' poodle, believe it or not. So, so she doesn't shed or anything like that, which is pretty cool.
But that's nice.
Beautiful blue eyes, and she's the color of Frenzy. So that's what we named her, and she's also the same colors as my Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, it looked like Kevin had a $2 super chat. He said, "Biggie, what do you think of Shiloh's jersey?" And we had already discussed this, Kevin, before the stream. I told him I'm from Dallas, so we weren't going to talk about it tonight.
Well, here's the thing, guys, is I got the game on pause because I'm going to watch it after. I'm going to finish it up after the stream here. But I'll tell you, with this series with Dallas and Edmonton, there's so much respect between the two teams that it's crazy compared to what we went through with Vancouver and with LA. And I'm out here in LA myself, right? I went to game 3 against the Kings. Okay, baby. And I couldn't believe the animosity of the Kings fans. I've been to lots of Kings games over the years and stuff, and never really, you know, as a Kings fan, because it's my second team, but also as an Oilers fan because that's my real team. And literally, guys were like, sure, maybe drinking a little bit and stuff, but literally picking fights with me. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? It was crazy. It was like just a little bit of chirping at a game's fine, right? But like getting so mad that you actually like really want to fight and stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. And it's funny because the guy was so mad at me, and I just chirped him back, and then finally settled down. He came up to me later and he apologized. And he's like, man, it's just I'm betting on these games, and he's like admitted to me that he's just losing a bunch of money that night, right? So he kind of took it out on me, And I think this is a real problem with sports these days.
It is.
It's betting.
Yeah, my dad and I were talking about this on our drive home today. The Dallas Cowboys, we're huge Dallas Cowboy fans, but he doesn't go to the games anymore because of all the fights and everything in the stands. And last NFL season was the worst of all the seasons. It was real bad. And it's like you can't even go to the game anymore because people are so into these games now. It's like people are drinking so much. It's like you got to be careful going to the games now.
I mean, if you're out there betting your mortgage and on a game, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if anybody knows, I mean, gambling's just like anything else. It's a slippery slope, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get behind the 8 ball, it's pretty fucking hard to get back in front of it.
So people take it personally too. Like if their team loses, it's like it's something's against them, or it's like personal against them, and it shouldn't be that way. It's just for fun,
And that's the whole point of my long story here is like with Dallas though, there's just been this great respect from the two teams and the two organizations, and kind of similar places, right? Mm-hmm. Dallas is oil, out in Alberta we got oil, and so it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air just watching that series, which has been great, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been great.
The rest of the game, so.
And we can't complain because Texas Rangers won the World Series, and the Dallas Mavericks are in the NBA Finals. So
you guys got nothing to complain about,
right? Yeah.
Come on, I mean, yeah. I've always liked the Mavericks. I'm a big Dirk fan.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And of course Steve Nash, for that era. Yeah, because he was something else too. Anyways,
well, let's talk some more New Wave toys. Always can talk sports, and we had that super chat which started that, but we'll get back onto the New Wave toys talk. Papa Brad's Gaming did send over a $5 super chat. Appreciate that $5, Brad. He says the most legit panel ever, Viper, all quality, New Wave and GRS, and I love Glen's ultimate control panel. You guys should be able to see it here. It's got a really nice trackball. It's got really nice spinners, great buttons. It's got the four-way and 8-way switcher for the joysticks, and I just enjoy the heck out of this thing. And it's also got the USB ports on the front, so I can plug my Sendin in. So GRS quality, it's there. It's some of the best quality you're going to find in arcade parts, and I'm just so happy that New Wave Toys and you, Glen, have all partnered together to make this happen. This is a big step for you guys with this Golden Tee. Do you want to say anything, Glen, about this and kind of give some information on it?
Oh, I will say real quick, the trackball, I know you said it was really good, and the ultimate control panel. Mm-hmm. And this trackball here that's in the New Wave Toys panel is so much better. So if you like the trackball that's in that one, this one is 10 times better. This one's really solid. And, Shilo said before that, we were working on this for about 2 years to get to this point with the Golden Tee, and you would ask why Golden Tee, why that was the first one. Mm-hmm. Without giving out too much information, there were other possibilities, but it all comes down to licenses and manufacturers. So other licensees didn't pan out, at least not right now. Mm-hmm. So there were other panels proposed that we were working on, but the licenses have not been finalized. People talk a lot about licensing is not an easy thing, and Shilo will attest to that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's cost, whether it's just the right time for the manufacturer to agree to that. So there were other things that were in the pipeline. It still may be. The door's not closed on it. It just turned out that the Golden Tee one, and this one still took a while. We were going to announce this literally like in January. That was the plan. But IT was, Charlotte probably go more into this than I can, but IT was this, that, the other thing, and it got delayed like 5 months. But now they're happy. So we're happy that they're happy. And now we're finally here. And I am excited. I've known Shilo for a long time. You know, I have all the RepliCades. I remember still backing and still remember seeing an article online for this centipede. I'm like, really? A 1/6 scale centipede? How's that even going to work? How's that Trak-Ball going to work? And I backed it, and it showed up, and it blew me away. It really blew me away. Now, with the original one, there were some issues with like a battery drain with a Trak-Ball on there.
Yeah.
New Wave Toys stood behind the product, even their very first product. They did a firmware upgrade. They had to send out a special little USB kit to make it work. So the good thing about New Wave Toys and Shilo is more than just the product he makes that it's fantastic. And they are fantastic. I love everyone that they have. They are all very playable. He has nice little tweaks. But Shilo stands behind his stuff. He cares about the customers. He cares that you enjoy it. That's a big thing in itself, that Shilo, who's the CEO of his company, like right now, he's on your show. He's no problem coming on people's shows and talking to the community. He cares. That's just as important as a product, as the guy who's running the company cares that you guys are satisfied.
Yeah. And on top of that, and something I want to add to this is something I've noticed with New Wave Toys is you're constantly advancing the product. There's always something new, it seems like, coming out whenever a new release comes out. And I love that about it because it keeps it interesting. You keep engaged with what's coming next. And it just makes it more fun when you get your product because you're like, oh, okay, I got something new I get to use on this one that I didn't have on my previous one. And is that something you guys focus on, Shilo, is always adding something new to each product you release?
As much as we can. So it would be pretty stagnant if we were just redoing the same thing every time and not evolving, right? And that's what makes it fun for us, is that things like, you know, making a 1/6 scale laserdisc player with a laserdisc with the proper etching on each side and all these little details. It's like some people that doesn't mean shit. You know, it's like they could care less, but the people in our hardcore community, they love it. And that's why we've continued to not only keep our clients, but keep on building and growing and growing. And we're really proud of that. And Glen mentioned the centipede fiasco, which, boy, you know, doing a startup and, you know, you want your first product to be a rock solid killer. And sometimes you get too close to it and you miss something, you know, and that's what happened. And man, did that suck, finding out people were having problems because we didn't set the IC that runs the Trak-Ball to stop draining power once the unit was shut off. So not only did it, you know, it had to be a firmware update, but it had to be a firmware update right to the PCB to the Trak-Ball. So like Glenn mentioned, you know, we had to send out a little kit with replacement stickers for the back. You know, I think we had to get a special cable. We did have to make a special cable.
You did, yeah. It was special.
Yeah, it definitely was special. And we got it out and it fixed the problem. But yeah, that was not very fun. And it was the last thing we wanted to do, as we had so many other projects to work on. But we will always stand behind our products and make sure if we fuck up, Matt, we're gonna do our best to try to correct it.
That's great.
And to your point, yes, we're always trying to push it further and further. And what more details can we get in? You know, what features? And one of my favorites is that, you know, the board drawer in Berzerk and Frenzy is, you know, we actually replicated the original PCB board, you know, and the way the door opens and all this stuff. And, you know, that's all really meaningful. And it was like something, you know, if you look at it now, wouldn't it be kind of lame if we never did that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We can do it, so we will do it. Now, plus, we're always trying to up it with accessories and, we're really stoked about magnetic accessories, and we're, we did a lock bar with Berzerk and Frenzy that just simply just, I mean, you guys tried it. I mean, all right, it just snaps on there with magnets. And we kind of wish we would have done that with the kick plate too. And again, we see.
Me too.
Maybe it was you, Glenn, commenting on that, but
that was me.
We read everybody's comments, and we're like, fuck, we probably should have in hindsight, but just getting it to work for the lock bar was kind of tricky. But we figured that out, and we're like, okay, now we can do more. So in fact, with Golden Tee, as we're trying to kind of tell a story of the first 6 years of Golden Tee, right? That's our cap. So when it launched, when Golden Tee, well, real historians are going to know that Golden Tee in 1989 was a conversion kit, a JAMA board, and a control panel, and marquee, I guess, with Golden Tee Golf. And then in 95, that's when the dedicated cab came out, but it never had any artwork. So ours doesn't have any artwork on it to start. But as you went through those 6 years, that's when the gold card reader came out, I think in 2000. So we're making that into a magnetic accessory. There was conversion kit art packs that came out along the way. So we'll have some side art and, error correct IT logos, stuff like that. And, some of that, was IT really getting behind the project, digging this stuff up for us, and they're super passionate, and they're really, really stoked on our product. And in fact, they're getting behind it in a pretty big way with the community, the Golden Tee community. Here you're going to start seeing, starting next week, they're going to be sharing our project out to a massive community of Golden Tee fanatics out there. And I guess you mentioned Rexer and Kevgret there. I know those guys play a lot of Golden Tee. I mean, it's a great game, and so getting them behind it, and there's a big tournament coming up at the end of the month, and it's such a cool game. It's so Americano arcado. It's what they did for the time. Was great. I mean, IT first, I believe they did Capcom Bowling, right? So they did that game, and then they just got right into Golden Tee, and now they just ran with Golden Tee. So there's other really good games. They're really good at bowling games too, right? Capcom Bowling's pretty good, but Silver Strike is like awesome, right?
There's a lot of requests for Silver Strike Bowling, and Shuffle Shot. And do you think those could possibly come, and would it be based on the success of this one if that were to happen?
Yeah, we actually have rights to Silver Strike.
Oh, great.
And we're working with IT to try to figure out a way to work with that security chip that's needed for it to run. And yeah, I mean, absolutely. So we're all set up. If we can get that working, we have the cab. It's basically just an art package for Silver Strike, right? And of course, like the real arcade trackball would work with that too.
Yeah. So at first we were just seeing renders of this cabinet, and over the last week or two, we got this video that I'm playing here in the background, and then we also got the gameplay actually of the RepliCade and then the arcade stick control panel, and it really adds a lot to it because you actually get to see it playing. You get to see all the extra stuff that you can't see in a render, like that light right above the screen there, that IT Incredible Technologies light there. Is that just backlit there?
Yeah, that's we call it the second marquee, and I really like that they put that there because it's just a blank space. Right, and they put that there, and that again, that artwork is for Golden Tee 4. So that's not what you're going to see when we ship this. It's more of a blue and silver IT logo there.
Okay,
but again, just prototype shown. I can actually say the same thing for the messaging and the topper. That's all Golden T4.
Yeah, so the marquee above there where it said Golden T99 in this video,
Yeah.
that could be one of several marquee options, and that's going to be based on what the people that buy this or pre-order it decide.
That's right, yeah. And this is something we've been wanting to do with our pre-sales, is have everybody in the community give a little bit of a say into what the final product is. Mm-hmm. And with this is the most games we've ever done, right? Usually we max out at 2. It would be normally like for Berzerk and Frenzy is a perfect example, or Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. The first and the second game, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of making people buy each cab to get each game, we'll always double up and give both those games, because we know not everybody's made of money, unless your name's Glen, right? you can afford every freaking thing in the world, but we always try to give some value like that. Mm-hmm. And this is 6 games, so this is us really. A whole new board. This is running on an H6 chip, right? If you know what that is. It's pretty powerful.
It's a more advanced chipset or board than you were using previously?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because we can get most games from the 80s running on A20. Really, really good. But for this one, we had to H6, which gets everything to 60 frames per minute per second. I do want to say this before I forget. Somebody in the last chat, Glenn, when we were on, kept asking about the resolution, the output resolution.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure what they were asking. And I thought maybe they were talking about the resolution on the small screen. And I'm like, no, but they're asking about the big screen, right? And that's 720, so it looks pretty good. It looks pretty decent on a big screen TV.
720p, that's the ultimate or highest resolution we can get.
720p.
Right. Okay. And notice you have 3 different models now. It started off as 2 different options. Yeah. You had the pre-order, what do we call this? The Golden TX RepliCade Premium Edition. Yeah. And then we had the Golden TX RepliCade Plus Real Arcade Trackball Stick Bundle. But now I've seen you've added this, the Golden TX RepliCade Standard Edition for $199. Yeah. So you're saving $50 and you just lose the topper.
That's right. That's right. And now, I just want to add to that real quick. It's again, times are tough. I mean, money's tight. I mean, Glenn and I always bitch about grocery prices, right? But I think everybody does. It's just ridiculous how much everything costs these days.
Oh yeah, I went to McDonald's a couple days ago, got the big breakfast, orange juice, and coffee, and it was like $18-19.
Dude, I got 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a drink. It was like $20. I mean, unreal.
Can't even eat at McDonald's for cheap anymore.
Oh, guys, please don't eat at McDonald's.
Don't say that to PD7. I saw PD7 in the chat, and if you watch his walk and talks, he loves him some Big Macs and McDonald's.
To each their own. It's not the greatest food, but everything's so expensive. It's kind of funny. Like $200 sure isn't like $200 was even 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So we took a step back and we said, look, $250. I mean, that is a lot of money, And we're like, let's, the topper costs us a lot of money. We did all that custom chip, custom tooling, custom everything, right? Screen. And we're just like, let's just take it out. And, this way we don't know if we're going to continue with that SKU, but at least we can offer it at a pre-sale, to our community and to anybody who might be on a little bit of a tighter budget or just doesn't want to drop $250, right? So, again, 20% off our pre-orders with Golden 35 is the code. And we always give a discount at pre-order because basically it's our retail, right? It's our chance to know how much we can build, what the demand is, and also pass a retail savings, a wholesale savings onto our community, which we, want to keep doing because without them, we're nowhere, So, so that's why we did that. And with the discount that comes out to $160, and that's a pretty good price for what you're getting, considering all the work and blood, sweat, and tears we put into the project so far.
Now the topper, if you're deciding between the 249 and the 199, so the premium edition and then this new standard edition, what is this topper? What is it offering us, and what is it going to show us while we're playing?
Well, it's going to be what you're seeing in the video. Is basically, like I said, it's what was programmed for Golden Tee 4. We're going to have that all reprogrammed for Golden Tee Tournament Edition for 2000 or 2001, I can't remember. So it's going to be all original messaging, but you'll also be able to put in there's a spot where it says welcome to, we put RepliCade, or you could put Big ED's arcade, right? You can actually go in there and customize a lot of the phrases. We're not sure how far we're going to take that, where it might just be a couple things, but we might allow, maybe they could redo the whole thing if they want, with all custom phrases. But we don't know that yet. Well, at least we'll have some in there. And beyond that, it's just going to kind of replicate what I said, the original messaging from 2001.
Okay.
Now this that topper, I think is like the gravy, because I mean, it just adds so much to like a mini arcade setup, just having that DMD running. And, we didn't cheap out on it. It's, like I said, it's all custom, but also has like a built-in battery, so if you're, you don't want to have it plugged in or whatever, there's a battery in there. And we kind of maybe take things a little bit too far. We probably could have made it a lot cheaper. But we want it to be nice, and it's a nice little piece with a nice bezel on it and stuff like that. So I just thought it was like just a really great, I honestly kind of need it for a Golden Tee cab. It really sets it off. But,
and this plugs in on the back. I'm looking at this unit here from the back, and we've got a USB-C plug on the topper, and then we've got a new USB-C plug towards the bottom of the RepliCade. Is there a cable running to and from the topper to the bottom there?
There is, so you can keep it plugged in. It's just, or you can, like I said, it has a battery, so it can run on its own.
Okay. How long is the battery life, would you say?
I don't know that off the top of my head. Actually,
okay.
I don't know if we've ever tested that. What else was I going to say about it? But again, I mean, if you want to save $50, you don't care about it,
Yeah, can they buy that afterwards? Just that topper?
I'm not sure if we're going to do that or not. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Maybe we will, and we'll see.
Okay. Jason, he just sent over $5. He said, Shilo, can the topper scroll War and Peace ? Asking for a friend. So I think we can make it say whatever we want, right?
Yeah, I'm sure if you want to do all the work to type all that in there. It'll probably end up being like a lot of it will be customizable, so you can put whatever you want. But it's fully animated, right? Like if you watch the video, you can see it's running dual, either in parallel, or they'll drop together. We got all the animation from the original.
Very cool. Now we're going to kind of transition for a moment because we're doing some giveaways tonight, and we're going to talk and start with probably the coolest, I think, thing that people have been talking about for the last year. People have been begging for this to come out, and we finally got some word this week that, or maybe it was last week, that this is actually finally coming, and that's the Zoltar Speaks replica here. Do you want to tell us the details on that, and it's been finalized, it's actually coming now?
Yeah, it's on its way, and it's been a long, hard road, which it usually is when we do something new. We're pretty good at making the RepliCade cabs now. That's also why we always keep on trying to step up our game, because I don't want to say it's getting easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier from when we were doing Centipede, right? It's like a matter of, it's funny in product development, it's a matter of training all your vendors to what your standards are. and a lot gets lost in translation, of course, because we work overseas, right?
Mhm.
But once everybody's trained and the QC understands, and everybody knows we're not, we 100% QC every single cab, and it just kills us sometimes when you know we see somebody gets a cab and there's a blemish on it or something like that, because nobody's perfect. But I'll
Mhm.
tell you, our defect rate is way below the industry standard on any kind of electronic, just
Mhm.
because of how tight our QC is. So yeah. What? Oh,
So
Zoltar.
if someone pre-ordered this, when can they expect it?
Well, it's going to be by the end of the month,
Oh, great.
first week of
End
July.
of June.
Yeah,
Okay.
to
So end
actually
of
have
June,
them in
you
your hands,
expect
to
yours.
have them in
Now,
your hands, yeah.
when will these be available for us to buy?
After everybody gets their pre-orders, we always treat that as one of the reasons to pre-order is not only get a great deal, but get it before everybody else. So
Isn't it nice
Mhm.
the pre-order people get it first before the retail stores? Isn't that
Yeah.
nice?
yeah, we never going to see it up on Amazon or a Big Bad Toy Store or any of those places before our community gets theirs and gets a chance to play with them and review them and make videos, and then actually really helps us out too, because it builds a lot of hype.
Mhm.
And then we just wait, and we're like, make sure all of we're like, are all the stragglers received? Have we we had a massive problem shipping to Canada with Berzerk and Frenzy. Eduardo can attest to this. It was like, I think it was UPS, and everything we shipped. No, sorry, my bad. USPS, so Canadian Post, basically just cock blocked all our shipments going into Canada and returned them to us. So we had to eat all the freight from there, all,
Oh.
all the freight back, and then we had to reship everything UPS. And so we lost a lot of money on all those Canadian orders. We're
Mhm.
trying to avoid that this time around. But yeah, it's we always just want to make sure everybody has their products in hand, who've been waiting and who are invested in the project.
Mhm.
That's
Now, if like I'm interested in Zoltar and I didn't pre-order. Actually, when you guys were offering this pre-order, I wasn't into New Wave Toys yet, so I didn't even really have an opportunity.
loser.
Yeah. I'm glad I got in when I did, though. Like I said, everything is advancing. You're doing better and cooler features with these. So I feel like this is a great time to get in on New Wave Toys because your collection's going to have all the cool stuff that some of the previous stuff didn't have. So this is a great time to get in. But if I was to get this, would it be 150?
That's right. And if you would have pre-ordered it, you could have got one for 80.
Great. Okay, so that's a big miss for me. But if you guys are out there and you're thinking, should I pre-order? Definitely do, because you can get these for almost half the price. In
Oh,
this
you
case,
always want to pre-order with New Wave Toys. I'm a big advocate of never pre-ordering. I'm very specific, telling everyone not to pre-order except for New Wave Toys, because you get a great deal, and to be honest, pretty much everything, the value goes up. And any of these machines, you try and get one on eBay. Any of these older machines, they're like $400, $500, $600 or more. So you will get your money's worth if you don't really want it, but pre-order it. You won't be sorry when you do with New Wave Toys.
Yeah, if you have to unload it, like you said, you could probably sell it on eBay for more than what you pre-ordered it for, most likely.
Always.
Always. Yeah. Pretty safe
Yeah.
to say you're always going to make your money back if you pre-order.
Yeah. I mean,
New Wave Toys is the Bitcoin of the retro community. They're the Bitcoin.
It's us. No, I mean, we honestly look at this as art, and we try to keep things limited. And if it's good art, it goes up in value. And we're really proud of our resales. And I mean, it's dirty, the eBay stuff. I mean, people charging, like, I've seen cabs up to $1,200 when they sell, and it's like, yeah, all right. I mean, somebody was really smart, and it's bought an extra one or whatever and selling it. But we're really proud that we're not like, at the garage sale, people just get rid of this thing. It's actually, worth something because of the quality and all the attention to detail that we do put into it. That's very meaningful to us.
I'm just amazed at some of the stuff you guys put out. Like those little boom boxes, the speakers on them sound so good. You know, it's like amazing the amount of sound you can get into those things. And I noticed when I play Ghosts and Goblins, the speakers are also sounding really good. Are those the same speakers you're putting in each, the RepliCade and the boom boxes?
No, well, there's two different boom boxes, right? There's a mini and a micro, and the micro is a 1/6 scale one, and that's all completely different from what we put into our RepliCades. They're much smaller speakers. They have because they're so small, there's like bass resonators and stuff like that in the back of them, so they're totally different. But we've always prided ourselves on getting 3 things right. I mean, more than that, actually. We always wanted to get the cab profiles right. You know, we always wanted to get the sound right, the screen right. So from day one, we're like, we can't have screens that you look at it from the left and it's all washed out and it looks like shit, right? So from day one, we always were like, okay, we need IPS screen, right? And now IPS screens keep on getting better, but for Centipede, we still used the best screen that we could. And that goes for sound. And I'll tell you one thing we just nailed it with the sound somehow, coming out of the back with the acoustic cavity of the wood cabinet. Just, I don't know what it is. It's some sort of magic, but we've been able to nail the sound on every single cab we've done.
Yeah, so and I can vouch for that. If anyone's listening and you guys haven't bought one of these yet, he's not overblowing this or making it sound better than it is. It really does sound that great. Like I have the Arcade 1-Up Final Fight, and it's got Ghost and Goblins on it. And then I have your RepliCade Ghost and Goblins, and I'll turn the volume up on the Arcade 1-Up. I'll turn the volume up on yours. Same sound coming out of both, but it sounds so much better in that little 1/6 scale RepliCade than it does a 3/4 scale Arcade 1-Up. So just to put that in perspective for you guys, these little things sound better than the bigger ones. And I just think that's a huge accomplishment for New Wave Toys.
And you can actually set the dial. You don't have to pick. Isn't Arcade 1-Up like a switch where it's either...
Yeah, you have like on that model, you only had 2 options. You had like low and high, and that was it.
Yeah. So we 1-up them with that.
And then the volume goes out too. Like on my Miss Pac-Man, sometimes the volume slider doesn't work at all, and it's stuck on a volume. So a lot of issues with those. You're not going to run into that with New Wave Toys.
I hope not.
But let's give something away, guys. 2 hours before the show, Shilo emailed me and said he wanted to give some stuff away. So I had to come up real quick with ways on how to do that. And we have too many people in the chat tonight for me to just plug names into a wheel and spin it. Ideally, I would like to do that, but I can't tonight. So what I've done is I've come up with questions for these giveaways. Whoever can answer it first will win. And some of you guys will maybe Google this, but hopefully some of you guys out there know the answers to these questions, and you can just plug it into the chat real quick and win. So our first one is a Zoltar giveaway. Is that right, Shilo? We're sending out a Zoltar to this winner?
Yeah, so it'll be once the Zoltar, the first container gets here, we'll send that out with probably after the pre-orders. Again, we're just going to be crazy shipping thousands and thousands of pre-orders. So, as soon as those are out, we'll get this going. So you can just email Biggie D. And
let me put that in the chat here for you guys. I have a website. You guys can use my contact form. What all are you guys going to need for them to ship this or to ship this out to them?
Oh, well, just their name, their contact information, like their phone number and an address that they live at.
Okay, name, phone number, and address.
Address, yeah.
And that's all you'll need.
Yep.
Okay, great. And also your YouTube name, so we can know it's you and know who we're speaking to. So your YouTube handle or name.
Yeah,
I'm putting all that in the chat.
Hey, Glen, I don't know what else you asked for, but...
blood type, I think was the last thing we asked there.
All right, guys. So in the chat, I put the contact form. If you win, just send over name, phone, address, which is your street address that you want it shipped to, and your YouTube name. And our first question is for Zoltar. So Zoltar was portrayed in the movie Big from 1988 with Tom Hanks, one of my favorite movies growing up. And the question will be, what does Zoltar fortune card say on the back when Josh Baskin says, "I wish I were big," and pulls out the card? What is the exact saying on the back of that card? We'll see who wins. So he said, "I wish I were big," and he pulls that card out of the machine. What does it say?
What is
And I
this
think we
Zoltar
got a
card?
winner. I think we got a winner, guys. Right here. Virtual
Yeah,
Robots
winner.
Revolt says your wish is granted, and that is correct. That is the exact way it's spelt and everything. Your wish is granted. So Virtual Robots Revolt, go ahead and go to that contact form and just send us what we need. Your name, phone number, street address, and your YouTube name. We'll get that out to you. And I'll email all that to you, Shilo. All right, cool.
Congrats.
That's awesome. I mean, because this is unavailable right now unless you pre-ordered. So winning this is huge. You know, this is a big, big prize. And this is one I wanted to get. Like I said, the Big movie is one of my favorite movies. Unforgettable movie growing up. And to have a piece of art like this in your home that reminds you of that, and it's just great. And did you guys know it was called, what was it called? Zoltan back in the 60s?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit different, actually. I mean, there's fortune teller animatronic stuff that's been around for a while. I think Zoltan's actually different than Zoltar. I'm not completely, not completely sure of that, but I will say this: this is our first animatronics product, and we really, really dig it, and we're really happy we got it working properly, and we want to do more. So. I know a lot of people have pitched out ideas of what we should do next. And I think we're going to do a survey coming up here in the next week or two and just ask some people what they want to see next. Or maybe we'll wait to get this in everybody's hands before we do that. But we definitely want to do more animatronics. We think it's a really fun add-on to what we do with RepliCade. Everything fits together. Everything we're doing, we're trying to make it all fit together. And this is a nice addition with the animatronics, and I don't often want to brag about anything or anything like that, but we just got a really awesome compliment from Olaf, who's the CEO and founder of Characters Unlimited, who makes the Zoltars up in Boulder, and he was just so complimentary and just we're just blown away by the details and how it looks just like our full-size machine and it operates the same. We have all the animatronics, we have the ticket dispensing, we have the coin option. We even have the IR sensor for attract mode. So you could set the attract mode to either, you swipe your hand in front of it, the IR catches it, and it'll say in attract mode and be like, hey, you over there, yes, you looking at me, or, you could set it so he goes off on a timed attract mode. And that was something that we actually never advertised when we did the pre-sale for Zoltar, because we wanted to make sure we got it working. This is also part of the problem with me in particular, that we always want to add more and more and more. And what that means is it's more and more cost, right? At the end of the day, more you add, the more the cost is added. And as we were going through this project, because I do want to justify the price a little bit, because we really wanted this to be like a $100. And when we first got our initial bombs and tooling quotes and all this stuff, it's funny because it always goes up because we need more deco, or we need a better motor, or let's add the IR sensor. And it's just we just keep on adding things. That plus inflation. I mean, everything went crazy during COVID, and I'll tell you right now, nothing's gone back to normal. It's in fact everything keeps on going up, and even freight, like container prices, they went down a little bit for a while, but they're sky high again. And it's crazy. So that plus we spend more time on it. we got more resources on it. With this one, we actually were done production, and we're just like, we had a problem. We had to go back and rework every single unit, and hence the delay. But that all cost us money, and but we did it because we want to make sure, especially the early adopters in our community, aren't getting a subpar product, and then we could easily have shipped it, fixed those problems, and made more. And after we fixed the problems, but we just it's not in our DNA to do that. We want to give the best project out to the people who support us.
Yeah, that's good that you're looking out for your customer at the end of the day, and you're not sending out something that's not ready. Because in our home arcade community, we get that a lot with some of the other products we buy, and it's nice to hear that and know and have that confidence going into a pre-order that the final product is going to be perfect or near perfect when we get it.
I tell you, I'm really looking forward to Zoltar because I'm not far from Rye Playland, where they filmed big. They had the Zoltar there. They don't have Zoltar anymore, actually. They removed it this last year, I believe. But my son and I have a big pun with the movie remembrance of Zoltar being a Playland. So I'm dying to get my hands on that because we really did enjoy going there and putting the money in and getting a little ticket coming out. I still have the tickets that we got from Playland down there. So, and again, for the pre-order sale, it was a steal. I couldn't believe how inexpensive it was to get that pre-order in. So it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, we have a Castles and Coasters arcade here in Phoenix, and they have one there. So I'm able to go and check it out, and it actually operates. You put the money in, and it does send out a ticket, and it's a really cool experience, especially like we've talked about if you grew up watching the movie and you're a fan of Big. But we got a couple super chats here. Steps Gaming sent over $1.99. She says, I'd love to see another centipede and a millipede. We got some discussion on that here towards the end of the stream. We'll get into Steps, so make sure to stick around. James Hates Everything says, Showbiz Pizza Band must buy. Man, does that bring back memories? Wouldn't that be cool? That's a great idea, James.
So let me ask you, is it Showbiz Pizza or is it Chuck E. Cheese?
I picture Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep, I'm Chuck E. Cheese.
But Showbiz is popular too. And is it based on your area of the country, or were those two different companies?
Yeah, I think
they were.
Right?
They were two different companies. They were two different. Originally, it was Nolan Bushnell who did Chuck E. Cheese. That was the original. Showbiz was kind of a contract with them. They kind of went on their own and started competing with Nolan Bushnell, and eventually they bought each other out. I'm not sure. I think Showbiz was bought out by Chuck E. Cheese. I think. And then it became one company again, but they were competing for a while.
Oh, okay. So and that brings up good points too, guys, is like there's so many possibilities for New Wave Toys to go and where they can go with this. And you can already see in this image and this video of where and what they've created so far, with these cigarette machines, the Artomat, the new Coke machines, vending possibilities there. So do you kind of want to tell us, next year, starting 2025, what other than what we've seen, what are some ideas that New Wave Toys has been discussing and possibly may see?
Well, we definitely love the vending machine stuff. And the next project up, in fact, that's going into production here pretty soon, is the USB cigarette machine and Artomat machines. We are you'll actually see in that picture, you could tell that the lighting, there's two lights that are illuminating our card, right? You could really see it on the cool version besides the new Coke machine. And we arcaded these things up because we have a blacklight mode, and one of the art cards that come with these is artwork that Dirty Donnie did for us, and it's really sick. And just like our current charge machine, there's a button on the back so you can basically turn on or off the out of service light. This, you press it and you can scroll between normal lighting that you're seeing there or the black light mode. And we found with the black light mode is we weren't getting enough illumination down the center. So we actually did a tooling modification to add an extra LED. So it's the type of stuff we're just not like, okay, cool, we're good, let's do it. But actually we always sometimes need to go back, take a step back, and make modifications, just again to make sure it's like exceeding expectations, hopefully with our customers.
Yeah, and I follow New Wave Toys Facebook group, and I love seeing the images and like the scenes that people set up with these, with the action figures. We have pinball coming soon, so you'll have pinball machines that will be in there as well.
Yep.
The Slurp Cup came recently. That was a cool idea, I thought, because possibilities are endless there, and then we get the extra coins.
Yep.
So very cool. Oh, and on that topic, on the pinball, do you kind of want to give us an update on this and what's going on with pinball?
Yeah, I mentioned this on Glen's show. We actually had our original factory just quit on the project. It was just too much. It was too much for them, and they know what sticklers we are, and we're kind of a pain in the ass to work with because they're like, well, they don't understand sometimes, like, well, who cares? And when it's like, well, we do, right? So we change that so it's right, and there's just so much detail in the 1/6 scale pinball replicas. There's 2 playing fields. There's so much going on, even though it doesn't actually play, which we obviously took some heat over that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when people get these and you get them in your display, you're going to be really happy with the collectability aspect of it and just how good they look. And actually, if you're just into making your diorama, your shelfcade, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it adds a lot to it. And it isn't like you're not going to get all the sights and sounds because there's like advanced track mode settings in those. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we tried to put as much feature rich, it's coin op, it's etc. It has a knocker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have match play, you're going to have a knocker knock, all these things. And it's like it's just we couldn't go all the way making it fully functional. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping eventually, if we could figure out a way to make everything modular and reusable for more tables, and that's our goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is like, can we get a pop bumper, drop targets and all this stuff, slowly adding this, so it's going to be a decent experience, we
Mm-hmm.
hope, to play, but it'll be an evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad, really happy for everybody that backed that project, because it means a lot to us, because it's a new thing. And we'll be back soon with an update. The new factory is actually just finishing up the tooling drawings. We'll hope to have those done next week. We'll be reviewing all that stuff, and then we'll go from there and set out a schedule for the rest of the project. So
yeah, it's very ambitious what you're doing with this pinball. It's not an easy task, and to hear you guys working on it and spending all this time on it, I know the people that pre-ordered are going to get a fantastic product, even if it is unplayable. But I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes too. Like what else can you do with pinball? Because I love pinball, and it's part of an arcade. It is
absolutely 100% part of an arcade, and that's why we want to have the real tables. And so we got a really great relationship with Gottlieb, and that's where we started.
That's
and so Black Hole's a classic, and it's like from there, just think of all the classic tables. I mean, a lot of it's licensing, but it's doable. Mm-hmm. And this is the really kind of cool too, is that with licensing, this is like such a weird category, because it's actually a really small category with a lot of players, and that makes licensing really difficult. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times with licensing, they'll look at it like, let's say it's an action figure, and they'll go, okay, well, you're not going to cannibalize these guys because you're doing 1/6 action figures and they're doing 1/16 action figures. It's a totally different thing, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of these licensors look at it like, well, we already have a deal, with Arcade 1-Up or whoever it might be, so they're apprehensive to like add us, although we're completely different. And it makes licensing hard, going back to that earlier conversation we were having there about licensing. But I'm digressing, I think, a little bit.
Well, Glen, he's going to have to run. He's on the East Coast, so it's already getting late. It's like 11 o'clock there, Glen.
Yeah, and I got to be up at 4, so I only got a couple hours. So.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. I love, your products, Glenn. I love having you on the show. You're one of the coolest people I met when I was in Cleveland. Just a fantastic guy. Do you want to tell everyone
I'm just a mini version of Shilo. That's why I'm the mini me of him.
Right before you jet, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about the Trak-Ball or any closing thoughts on that?
No, just that again. Shilo, like he said just a moment ago, he had another place quit on the virtual pinball because he's a stickler for products. Fortunately, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah.
So he and I worked together very well. He wanted to make sure he had the best trackball for that machine, and I wanted to make sure he had just that. There was a lot of tweaking involved. There was a lot of back and forth going involved. But my goal has always been the same goal he has, is that we want to make sure it's done right. You guys have the best in your hands for the best price possible. And I think you guys will be extremely happy with the control panel and this trackball. We put a lot of time and effort into it. And right now it is an exclusive for New Wave Toys for the Golden Tee. But that's it. I'm very proud of it. And if you, like I said, you enjoyed the other trackballs we've done in the past, this leaves them in the dust. That's not saying the other ones are bad. They're not.
Yeah.
This is really that much better.
That's great to hear.
It's really nice trackball. Glenn, they did a great job. The sensors top notch. The ball bearings like are really smooth. It's nice. It's really nice.
I've got big balls. That's all I got to say.
So when I was looking at this, just to kind of close out here before you take off, because I wanted some clarification on this. When you're looking here at this, it says premium bearings. I read that somewhere.
Yep.
Does that mean they last longer, or like what's the deal with that?
Well, there's, like with anything else, there's commercial grade, there's consumer grade, and then there's crushed up little children and baby powder grade, and made by angels, and that's what we're doing right here. The bearings are just tuned. I'm gonna say that's probably the best word, tuned for the product the best way. You could put any type of ball bearings in there. It doesn't mean they're going to feel what they're supposed to feel for the machine. Mm-hmm. So we just went through and got the ones that will last, absolutely. They're solid, but they give you the right feel, the right amount of spin, the right amount of, when you're doing that, you want to get that right amount of spin in there, like the arcade had, and it was just dialed in. We'll put it like that.
All right. Well,
and on that, I wish you guys a great show. Thanks for having me on. Shilo will continue along. He treats you guys the best. Big D, make sure if you have not subscribed to his channel and give him a thumbs up. It's always appreciated.
Yes.
And with that, I wish you guys a good evening and game on.
Game on. We'll see you later, Glenn. All right. So on that note, let's go ahead and give away one more prize.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So our next one, number 2 on the giveaway list here, was going to be the Coca-Cola machine. And I have the new Coke. I actually never opened my new Coke because it was selling for like almost double on eBay what the MSRP price was. So I was like seeing that they're worth more boxed in sealed box. So I never opened mine. But I know a lot of people have these. I've seen the reviews on them. They're fantastic, great products. They keep a can of cold. It's actually got some refrigeration type function to it. It's got the coin op function. You can actually have little mini micro cans that you can put in there that will drop out. And the lighting looks really good on the backlighting for the Coke logo.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on the lighting to get it looking accurate. It's not perfect, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to look realistic, right? Mm-hmm. So, the lighting, thanks for pointing that out. The functionality, it was our first mini fridge. So it was a bit of a challenge, but again, we used the best fans. We used the best coil. It'll really chills your drinks nice and cold. Mm-hmm. And actually, when we were in Cleveland, Steven was using it in his broadcasting booth, and he gave me a Sprite out of there, and I was really pleasantly surprised how crisp and cool and cold it was. It was almost icy. So and then again, the little special thing is of course the coin op, and then when you dispense a mini can, if you have it in cooling, you pull it out and it's very cold to your touch. So I think that's like a little special little feature that, kind of blows people's minds sometimes.
Something I've been seeing on the Facebook group and Reddit is people putting different logos for the different drinks, and
Yeah.
you'll have like 5, 6 different drinks, and I thought that was cool. Do you guys think you'll ever expand on offering different little cans that you can put in there, things like that?
Well, I'll tell you straight up. I mean, we wanted to. We wanted to have all the different drinks in there, and it was like, well, how? I mean, because we only have the one shoot, how are you going to make it accurate to what you're lining it up with?
Mm.
So, you'd press Coca-Cola Classic, and Sprite would come out or something.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, but actually Coke didn't want us to do that either.
Mhm.
And they just wanted to all be Coca-Cola Classic or New Coke. So we just, we're the fly on the elephant's ass, and we just said, okay. I mean, we tried and we asked because we wanted to sell little 6-packs of all the different other drinks,
Yeah, I've seen people doing that, and they're putting I guess it's little pieces of paper behind those buttons, and
Yeah,
and
it's
at least it
really
looks
good.
from the outside like you have other drinks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the great thing about the community. It's like if we can't do something like that, and it was kind of an obvious thing that somebody goes and does it and makes those those stickers, or you can print them out. I think the guy who did it just shares the file, and you can just print it out and make your own.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's one of the special things about the community, I think.
So one of my favorite sodas is Dr. Pepper. Are you guys actively working with some of these other beverage makers to possibly bring us some other ones?
Yeah, we are. Yep, definitely. That's been I mean, when we brought those in, we sold out in like a week. It did really well, and it took us a while to get them back and restock. But we have stock right now, and yeah, we're definitely looking at doing more.
Oh, that's very cool. So, guys, we're going to give away a Coke machine. It's not the new Coke. The new Coke sold out, right?
Yeah, we really wanted to keep that one limited.
Mhm.
So this is the Coca-Cola Classic version.
Okay, which is the one we're looking at here. It'll say Coke on the front.
This is Coke on the front, Coca-Cola on the sides.
Very cool. All right, so this will be another question for you guys. So get your keyboards ready. And this one will be, I think, one that someone out there is going to know, and you'll be able to type it real quick and hopefully win this one. And my dad actually came up with this question. So he's here traveling and spending some time with me this week. I have to give him credit for coming up with this one. All right, guys, you ready? So what was the name of the first attempt to make a diet soda by Coca-Cola? First attempt by Coca-Cola to make a diet soda. What was the name of that soda?
That brand, yeah.
Got some answers coming through here. Oh, looks like we got our winner, Tab, T-A-B. And he said it tasted horrible. Do you remember Tab?
I do. Tab and Fresca, I think, were the two first like sugar-free pops that came out, and I always thought Tab was pretty good. And in fact, they just stopped making it not that long ago. I think maybe it's been 5 or 6 years or something. I'll have to go back and check. But they still make Fresca. I'm not actually sure if Fresca's Coke, but I actually bought some Frescas the other day just for shits and giggles, and it was actually pretty good too. But yeah, I remember Tab. Tab was all right.
Yeah, I remember it from when I was really young, but I can't remember what it tastes like. I must have been way too young to remember that. But for now, like today, modern time is Coke Zero. That's my go-to, and it tastes just like Coke.
Yeah, twice the chemicals.
I could drink like 3 or 4 of those in a day if I don't watch myself.
They are good. I like them too.
So talking more about getting back on to New Wave Toys and the products you guys have coming out, just kind of skimming the website here with you. So we've got these golden tees here at the very front at this top here. So as soon as you go to New Wave Toys, you guys are heavily promoting the golden tee. We've got 13 days left on it. we've got 3 different options. We've got a standard, a premium, and we've got this bundle with Glen's real arcade trackball stick, which I highly recommend. If you don't have anything by Glen, go ahead and get the whole bundle and get something from him because his products are great. Then we've got the Berserk X RepliCade. I have the Frenzy. On that, the Berserk was not a Survivor Series,
Right.
but the Frenzy was. And the Frenzy I'm noticing is sold out. Is Frenzy coming back?
No. That's it. The Frenzy sold out pretty fast. That's the Survivor Series where we kind of took the stressing and the arcade destruction. We really upped the next level on Frenzy with the flickering marquee and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something a lot of people like. It's sort of a parallel universe type thing where we're making with our arcade products where you're going to have things that are look like they've been in the arcade for the past 40 years, and then other stuff looks like it's factory fresh. A lot of people don't like distressing or the used look, but a lot of people do, and it actually, I think it really resonated with a lot of people. We've done it before. We did it with Asteroids. We actually had the cigarette burns on the control panel and stuff like that, and different color T-molding and faded graphics. But with the Frenzy, I mean, we really upped it and took it to the next level. Actually, the Cubert Warren Davis is also like that, where it's a replica of Warren Davis, who's the creator of Cubert. It's his prototype that's in his house. And he was cool enough to let us come over and ordered us pizza and stuff. And we took pictures of everything. And, we got all the stains and crap and everything that's been stickers, moving stickers, all that stuff on there. And it's a really fun thing for us, and we'll definitely be doing more of those in the future.
Yeah, and on that note there with the Survivor Series, when I first heard about this and you guys talked about it, I was all in on the Berserk. I was like, no, there's no way I can have one of these that I pay this money for and then it not look perfect, And then I saw someone's review of a Frenzy where it was a very well done review, but they also showed it in detail and you could actually see it, and it won me over in that review. And I was like, man, I've got to have the Survivor Series now. It wasn't something I initially thought I wanted, but once I saw it, I was like, okay, I got to have it. Yeah. And now it's like I want more of the Survivor Series. And I think it's dependent, too, on the title. If it's an older 80s title like this, then Survivor Series is probably going to fit better. Yeah. Or if it's like Golden Tee and it was made in the 2000s, maybe you want it to look a little better, near perfect.
Yeah.
So it's each to your own. Like, what do you want? It's going to be up to you. But I definitely think the Survivor Series is something new and unique and something I really like.
And it's a wrestling term.
Yeah, right. So we can expect more Survivor Series cabinets then coming in the future.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And those will be limited. Is it all Survivor Series will be limited and you won't remake those, or could those be remade?
Oh, no, we'll never make Frenzy Survivor Series ever again.
Okay. And then future Survivor Series cabinets. Let's say you make another one in the future and it's a Survivor Series. Will that one be limited and not remade?
Yeah, that'll be limited too. It does open a little bit of on the flip side of what you're saying. It does open a bit of a door for us to do. We did this with Dragon Slayers, to do an overhaul / Survivor Series cab for something we already released. So it's a little different if we never did it. So I think Steps was asking there about Centipede. And it's like, well, you never know. We still have rights for Centipede. Maybe we'll do a Survivor Series Centipede. But if we do that, we're also going to want to update a whole bunch of other things that we've evolved from that time. We're going to be 8 years old in September. So we've been doing this for a while now. And that's been out there for a while. So there's just so much that we've upgraded and added details like carriage bolts and, just little things and bezels around the screen and our CRT effects lens and all these things, coin-op operated cash boxes, all this stuff. So, who knows? But that said, I mean, we're focused on new titles and new licenses, and those take time, and we have a lot of things in the works. And where it makes sense, we'll offer one at definitely be offering more at pre-order for those.
And that's something I kind of want to transition to, our possible future cabinets for the end of the stream. And do you think we could expect something by the end of the year, or are we looking at next year before we see anything new?
Oh no, we are fast. I mean, with cabs, I don't want to say we're really fast, but when the development time and the tooling and all the vendors and the factories and everybody's really tuned in on cabs, we'll have Golden Tee out in Q4, and I would say we're going to have at least 2 more RepliCade announcements by the end of the year.
Oh, fantastic. That's great news. That's exciting to hear that we have 2 more coming by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting, looking at we're already halfway through the year,
yeah.
that this Golden Tee would kind of be the end of 2024 and we wouldn't see anything.
Nope.
So to hear that on this stream, guys, that's very exciting news.
Yep.
And that kind of, we can transition to this. And this is a graphic that I had made on our Facebook group for New Wave Toys just a couple weeks ago. And someone had been listening to your stream with Glen and had took from that stream that the next RepliCade cabinet would be, or possibly be, from 1983. So I started gathering together cabinets that were popular or made in 1983. And these were the ones that I came up with. The list that I could gather together and come up with was Star Wars Pole Position 2, Track and Field, Spy Hunter, Elevator Action, Mappy, Discs of Tron, Crystal Castles, Lode Runner. I kind of messed up on. Lode Runner was actually 1982. So that one technically isn't an 83 title. And it was a very rare arcade cabinet too. But I think there's a lot of interest in rare cabinets also. And then Sinistar, and then Gyrus, I think I'm saying it right, and Major Havoc. And from that post on Facebook, there were a ton of responses. It was like people were all wanting to give their input. And what I took from that, just looking at this image here, is Sinistar was kind of the winner. There were more people interested in Sinistar, I felt, than any of these others. But there was interest in all the titles. Everyone had interest in every single one of these titles. Gyrus was very unique in that cabinet art. Have you seen that cabinet before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that cabinet is extreme, in like the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a good one. And then you guys do the silhouettes.
That's a cool game, too. I really like Gyrus.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, you do the silhouettes, too, to kind of preview potential cabinets coming in the future. And it kind of felt like the Major Havoc might have been one of those silhouettes. So maybe so.
The Major Havoc cab, the dedicated one, is really unique. Mm-hmm. That's when Atari was like, really like, okay, we got to step it up with our cabs. And that's a wild cab. It also was a conversion kit, a really cool one for Tempest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I will say that the next game is from 1983 and it's on that list. So
okay. So we know it's going to be one of these titles.
Yeah.
So let's go through these together. So we talked about Lode Runner. It was really 1982, so I don't know if that one's going to be at Sinistar. A lot of interest in that one. We agreed on Gyrus. That artwork's fantastic. Looks amazing. Very, I would say, eye-popping artwork. It really stands out. It's very different than anything you've seen on any other cabinet side art. Mm-hmm. Major Havoc kind of fits that silhouette. Now, Elevator Action, there's an issue with that one, and I think there's another arcade that does small replicas that may be coming out with an Elevator Action. Could you guys do cabinets that other companies are doing as well, or is that kind of off limits if another company does?
I kind of touched on that with the licensing, download I gave you there. Mm-hmm. But no, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, in fact, there's so many cabs that other companies have done that we still need to do. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it. Not at all. So Yeah, absolutely. There's so many games. We were talking about this actually on Glen's show the other day, and it's like it's funny because we've had and there is so much to do that we need to start doing at least 3 cabs a year to kind of like really keep this going, and because there's so much to do. And I mean, we've never done Pac-Man, which is, I mean, everybody and their dog has done Pac-Man and Miss Pac, right? But not us, and there's nothing stopping us from doing it. It's a license with Namco, and just because somebody else or everybody else has done it doesn't mean we're not going to do it. In fact, that doesn't mean shit.
Okay. So we can possibly expect that one to be a possibility.
Well,
then.
we're going to do it, and we're going to do it better than anybody else is what we're going to do. And I mean, no matter what it is, if it's something else, somebody else did it. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Now, Mappy is one of those ones that really stood out too, and a lot of people were commenting on Mappy because of that marquee. That's a Namco title as well. Yeah. Do you like Mappy and the look of that marquee?
With the little mouse on it? It's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that's going to stand out, and I think the ones that stand out are the ones people want the most because they're building this little miniature arcade in their home, and those ones that pop or, stand out from the rest are the ones that people seem to are most attracted to. So Mappy would be a good one.
I mean, these games all mean something different to everybody, right? Where some game might not mean shit to you or me, but somebody else might just love Mappy. But I remember it, and I certainly think I played it. But to other people, it might mean that was their game, right? So yeah, it's there's just no. I mean, there's so many projects we could do, and making everybody happy is tough. We talk about this sometimes. Can't please everybody. I know some people are, don't really, care for the Golden Tee very much. Just being real. I mean, reading the feedback and stuff, but a lot of people do, and so it's all preference and stuff like that. But we definitely keep an open mind, and we keep an open mind to every game pretty much.
So Discs of Tron. We've got a new Tron movie coming out soon. Ares, I think it's going to be called. Something I noticed.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
You didn't know that.
New Tron coming. So that's something we've noticed, like in the home arcade community, is some companies out there like to release cabinets around the same time as movies to kind of gain momentum based on that movie and drive sales of that cabinet. So it kind of works together. So Discs of Tron it seems like an excellent time to release that one with the new movie coming out. And it's also a cool looking cabinet. I think all these are.
That is a beauty cabinet. And I know a lot of people like the arcade one up, and I think they did an okay job with it, but there's a lot of detail missing. There's a whole it's not a bezel, shroud on top there, and it's very detailed, and the lighting and everything else. Yeah, Tron's. I ain't gonna lie, it's something we've been chipping away at for years. Of course, we want to do it, Penny Tron.
Yeah, and with Tron, Glen and his controls, he's got his flight stick. It just seems like a perfect fit for you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
as well as Star Wars. Star Wars as well.
I don't even mind saying this. Glenn was alluding to it earlier, but Tron was actually going to be the first pro arcade stick, right? But we ran into some hiccups with the licensing and stuff like that. But what you're seeing with Golden Tee is kind of the concept that actually we wanted to do with Tron. But that's kind of on hold right now.
Yeah, and that Tron is kind of like Star Wars, in that they're owned by Disney and controlled by Disney. So, but talking about Glen's control stick or control panel, again, that would fit very well because he's got his Star Wars flight stick.
Yeah.
Now, Crystal Castles. Everyone's confident that Crystal Castles will be the next one. And I did a video at a local arcade here, and they had a Crystal Castles there, and I spent quite a bit of time looking at the side panels, looking at the front, the marquee area, the speaker area of that cabinet, the control panel, the kick plate. That is just such a eye-popping and just I love Crystal Castles, the game too. I played a ton. That would be a good one. What do you think of that title?
I think a lot of it. It to me, it's like, as far as a beautiful cabinet goes, it's up there because of the artwork. And it was like, man, they must have been doing some good drugs, man, when they were doing that one, because it's just like the Bentley Bear and the Witch and all this stuff. And I think it's a really neat game too. Just that it's like, looks like MC Escher artwork, right? And I've always been a fan of that dude and his art. And to me, it kind of fits. It's up there with Food Fight as far as like just graphics and just as far as just a beautiful cabinet. That's actually a fun game to play too.
I didn't actually play Crystal Castles till about 2 or 3 years ago. I never got to play it growing up. But I did, 2 or 3 years ago, and I was instantly hooked to that game. And I feel like a lot of people out there are like that. They may have never heard of it or never played it, but as soon as they do, they love it. It's one of those addicting games with that gameplay. And,
it's like Food Fight, actually, in a lot of ways. But I think there's actually a lot more Crystal Castles out floating out in the wild than there was Food Fights.
And that's one of those ones where it's very hard for like the larger arcade manufacturers like Arcade One Up to make something like that because of all the differences in that cabinet compared to other arcade cabinets, especially that speaker area. But with you guys doing these more miniature micro scale ones, it's more something attainable that you guys can make something like that.
Yeah, I like a chat. We all like a challenge with the cabs. And going back to like Dragon's Lair, right? Like getting that digital scoreboard and the speakers and all the materials correct and stuff like that. Definitely love the uniqueness of cabs. Again, I just think it would be boring if we just did the most basic cabs.
Where you had like similar form factor or form for each cabinet.
Yeah, or similar controls for everything. It's like we've really tried our best spinners. We have a couple different trackballs. We've gone through several different types of buttons, joysticks. We have an analog joystick we developed for Food Fight, and we use it on 42. We have a micro switch joystick that we're using 8-way. That's in Berzerk Frenzy. We're really leaning towards using that a lot more now, just because it's super accurate and people like the clicky, although it's not error correct. So we have like three different joysticks, several different buttons, 2 different trackballs, all these different controllers. So I would always say we're always open to new controls and unique cab details.
Okay. Now, Track and Field, that's one of those button mashing games where I feel like if you're playing that on a miniature micro scale arcade, you could really do some damage to those buttons. But it would be something where Glen could make a control panel for it. You could actually enjoy playing Track and Field, and you could really mash those buttons and play it the way it was meant to be played. So Track and Field would be cool. And we have the Olympics coming. So you could maybe line that up with the Olympics, and that would be great for everyone.
Oh, Track and Field is one of our favorites, and it was just just going back in time. Just remember, everybody's playing that in the arcade and just hammering on those friggin' buttons. And what's interesting is there was actually a trackball version.
Was there? I never knew that.
Yeah, so you just spin it as fast as you can. But everybody liked the buttons better. And I actually prefer the buttons myself because it pitter-patter of the running, with the jumping and stuff like that. I think that game, you have a point where, playing on the actual 6-scale control panel, it's probably not going to be the best, the best experience. But if you look at what we did with Street Fighter, especially, given the amount of button mashing that's done in that game. We just did the small controller too, and sometimes that does the trick, but having a full-size deck for that would be kind of cool too.
We had a good question here. Any plans for Sega games? I know the licensing would be expensive, but some of the best arcade games are Sega titles. Have you ever spoken with Sega about anything?
Oh, we're always talking to Sega. You know what's funny about Sega to me is that it might turn some people off, what I'm going to say, but I think some of their later stuff is more important than some of their earlier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying, I mean, Zaxxon's a no-brainer, you know, something like that, but like you got to look at other titles like Crazy Taxi. I'll just use that as an example. I mean, that's a much later game that came out in, boy, when did that come out? It did come out in the late 90s or the early 2000s?
Crazy Taxi, I feel like was late 90s.
Late 90s, yeah.
I think, but I'm not sure.
Well, it was on Dreamcast, right? So, it was right around that time. But yeah, I think Sega, I mean, 18-wheeler is another one of my favorites. But that's more modern, you know.
Yeah, it came out February of '99. It looks like.
There you go.
So that would, I mean, I was at Starfighters just a couple weeks ago. Starfighters Arcade. That's where I did the Crystal Castles. Guys, go check out that arcade tour. They got all the retro arcades there here in Phoenix. But they had a really good looking Crazy Taxi there, one of the original ones. Sit down, and they had a stand up too.
Sit down one, okay, yeah.
And getting into driving cabinets, kind of wanted to leave this for the end of this image. Pole position 2, Spy Hunter. You guys don't have any driving cabinets yet. Is there something that holds that back or makes it more difficult to do a driving cabinet?
All in time. I mean, I've wanted to do a sports game forever, so it's like, again, we need to get more than, 2 games out a year. We got to get through. We want to get 3 games out a year. And there's things we haven't done, like you just said. We have never done a driving game. This will be our first sports game. We've done shmups, and we've done space shooters, and we've done laserdisc games, and I mean, it's just all gonna eventually come. We're in this for the long haul, and it's been a very successful line for us. But we've also worked really fucking hard on it for a lot of years, and we're really proud of our position and our reputation, and just where we've come, and so definitely, yeah. I mean, driving games for sure. I mean,
if you offer something new and different, we're always looking for driving cabinets. We're always looking for shooting cabinets. Light gun games. Those I think are really going to be the big winners for you guys, because we're having a hard time finding those kinds of cabinets elsewhere. And if you guys can offer us real experiences where, like, we have arcade accurate controls with Glen, and we can do that, I think you guys are gonna, like I said, be big winners with those cabinets.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's just so much to do. There's just so much, and it's all going to happen in time. There's been deals we've been chipping away at for like 6-7 years, and nothing's like dead. It's just like, I would say that this category is really changing, and what we've done. I mean, I will give Arcade 1-Up credit for one thing. They've sold a hell of a lot more cabinets than we have. They absolutely have. But we actually have a good reputation. And that goes a long way with licensing too, because these licensors, they know when they have a company that, launches a product that's subpar and everybody's complaining about it, and they don't want that kind of feedback. So it's kind of opening more doors for us here as we go on, and the longer we're setting the gold standard, that's just going to keep on opening up more doors for us with licensing.
Yeah, I agree. Word of mouth, it's very important. And you guys have that established track record of, good products with very few issues, and you never hardly hear anything negative about New Wave Toys. If it is, it's something more of like an opinion, like with the pinball not being playable, things like
Yeah,
that.
right. Yeah.
So,
But again, we're not afraid to try different stuff either, right?
hmm
And I mean, again, I think we were talking about Golden Tee earlier, but I mean, they have a community of about 500,000 active Golden Tee nutcases,
hmm
and tournaments and all this other stuff. So it's like I mean, that's cool, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people have.
yeah, you got to think how many Golden Tee fans there are out there that
Right.
play this game religiously all the time. They actually have a Golden Tee pedestal in their home, but then they got to go to the office to work. Who wouldn't want a little Golden Tee sitting on their desk, if they're that big of a fan?
Yeah.
So, and that opens you up to a whole nother group of people and buyers that you never had before.
That's right. And that's what we need to continue to do. And then hopefully, and a lot of those people probably don't even know who we are from everything else we've done. And then all of a sudden they're turned on to it and they want to start building a shelf game and collecting the games. And that's why these games on eBay keep on consistently selling for more and more and more, because we keep on getting more new people in, which is great.
Yeah, and that was one of the hardest things for me to overcome getting into New Wave toys was I knew once I got one, that was going to be it, and I was going to start collecting a ton of these things. And it's like a snowball effect. Once you get that first one, you can't not buy the next one, and that's the biggest hurdle, I would say, is getting into that first unit or buying that first one.
Yeah, that's why we love the people that have stuck with us from day one, and there's a lot. I think we were like 80% customer retention from like the first centipede. And I mean, that's just great. And, we got to keep growing. We got to keep on reaching new people. And it's not just the arcade machines. It's all this other ecosystem, if you will, that we have this whole thing. It's like, arcade life. It's like, boom boxes. Yeah, you need music in an arcade, right? What else was we got? BMX replica bikes coming. That's how we got to the arcade. You're either skateboarding or riding your BMX bike back in the 80s, and that's just a cool fit. And vending machines and smoking, which I know a lot of people again have an opinion on that stuff, but
yeah, I'm more of the Artemat guy, where I would be interested in
there you
Artemat.
go. That's why we did Artemat. It's like if you have a fine, just don't buy it. But, there's just no denying that smoking was a huge part of the arcades, especially in the late 70s and 80s.
Absolutely. We got a $10 super chat here from Robcat.
All right, we're going to spend it.
Says arcade 1-up equals McDonald's, New Wave toys equals In-N-Out. Thank you, Shilo, and the New Wave team. Yeah, In-N-Out's one of the best burgers you can get, animal style, and they're from California, so I know Shilo knows about In-N-Out.
Oh, hell yeah.
But they've expanded all over. They're in Texas. We have them here in Arizona. I think they're in a lot of states now, but they originated in California, I think.
Yeah.
And I only eat McDonald's breakfast. I don't eat anything else.
It's funny, In-N-Out. It's just like there's always a lineup. I don't know if there is in Phoenix, but man, out here in SoCal, the one by our office in North Hollywood, it's always constantly like you gotta go wait in the line for 20 minutes in your car,
Yeah, they're always busy during lunchtime, especially.
Are you a wrestling fan at all?
I'm not. Never been big into wrestling. If anything, though, I'm maybe getting into it more recently. And I'm more so like the female wrestlers. I think they're more entertaining. And I just, for whatever reason, though, can't get into it. I don't know why.
I'll just share something funny that I just kind of came across that, The Rock, right?
Oh, yeah. Big fan of The Rock and his movies.
He's a huge superstar, right? But I guess a lot of people are calling him out on being a big fake because he did this tweet. He's like, I'm going In-N-Out for the first time in my life or whatever. Right? And then people are calling him out. I'm like, yeah, you said that 2 years ago when you went to In-N-Out. And then somebody's like, yeah, you did it 5 years ago when you went to In-N-Out.
Oh, no. He called him out.
He's getting called out on some bullshit.
That's hilarious. What you say on the internet never dies. People will remember
that.
Right. That's funny. But yeah, I like to see with wrestling how they move into movies and become big movie stars. You know, it's John Cena. We're seeing that with him.
Yeah, man, The Rock sure turned into a huge star. But you know, I mean, Hulk Hogan and Rocky, that was the best.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocky, was that 2 or 3? 3.
And talking wrestling, yeah, WrestleMania, those arcade games. I guess you've been working on trying to bring us those. If you're a wrestling fan.
Oh yeah, but you know, it's just with the old wrestlers. Most of them are actually no longer with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So their estates and stuff are kind of hard to get their rights. And I like what they did with the retro.
Oh, you're probably asking about wrestling too, because I have the Retromania Wrestling iArcade, and that just so happened to be the most popular one that they sold a bunch of them, and I bought this one used.
Oh,
And I would have wanted Dragon's Lair of the iArcades when they were around.
Yeah, okay.
I think that was the best.
I was kind of wondering, but yeah, that was kind of a that Retromania's like, you know, it's kind of like WrestleFest, right? That's what they try to do. But yeah, I love to do a wrestling game. It's just I would have to have all my favorite wrestlers from the '80s in it.
Yeah, and I hear there's tons of issues with the licensing and all that. And
There is.
You don't want to remake the game and take them out and do all that. We've seen that a lot with like NFL Blitz, and they remove late hits. And I guess New Wave Toys isn't about changing games to release stuff, are you? Or would
We're
you ever
certainly not about changing games to water them down or, you know, make them soft, you know, like, hey man, we're trying to be as authentic as possible. And the things we add are like, you know, one of the things I'm really proud of that we've done this is if a game doesn't have a track mode, we add a track mode, replicate a track mode dip switch setting right in the menu. So we go in and we custom program all that stuff. So actually in Berserk and in Frenzy, if you have it just on normal a track mode, you'll be able to tell when you switch it over to the enhanced one how much more sound effects are in it. We just do that because one of the main things is about making and building arcade ambience in a shelf in a small area. And when you put these on and you have them running in a track mode, it's really magical, and it'll make you feel like you're in an arcade. You can just turn around and look at them or whatever. But it's a simple thing, but we'll try to add things like that. But we learned from our mistakes. Whereas like with Asteroids, and if Glen was on right now, he would be busting my balls because we tried to imitate the way the shot looks on a real vector screen, right? Which makes it look like more like a sperm because of the phosphor in the vector monitor, and so it doesn't look like a dot. It looks like a sperm, and so you know perhaps and it was really hard to see the dot too on our little 1/6 scale dot. So we just went ahead and changed it, and that got some blowback from guys. And so we did a firmware update and we added it so you could either turn it on or off. And we learned a lot from that. And it's like we can add things as long as, you know, people can turn them off. Another example is like the flicker mode on Berzerk and Frenzy.
Yeah, where like I like having the flicker on all the time at 1 minute, which is the shortest interval. But others may want it different, you know, or may not want it at all.
Exactly.
So options are great, and giving people that ability, I think it goes a long way. But that flickering marquee is amazing. I love that feature.
That's really fun. Little simple thing, but yeah, I mean, like you just said, you enjoy it and it means something. And yeah, so you know, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and when I'm like at work, you know, I'll have it just sitting next to me. I'm not playing it. I'm just looking at it periodically while I'm working, and it just makes my day so much better having that there next to me when I'm at home, working at home. But that was awesome. I enjoy having you on this show, Shilo, and coming on and taking the time to speak with us about this stuff. I feel like we have a lot of people that watch this channel that are into these new wave toys, and they've kind of been along for the journey with me too, like where when I started they may have gotten started in them at that point, and they've kind of followed and watched and enjoyed being part of the chat and being part of the community talking about this stuff. and it all kind of came together tonight with having you on the show. And I think this show will be watched by hundreds of more people and rewatched throughout this week. And we've learned some really cool things tonight about we have how many more? 2 more by the end of the year. I heard
that's for sure, and hopefully 2 launches. So we have one more giveaway though, don't we?
Yeah, and we have one more giveaway. I'm glad you reminded me, but I had that on the agenda here, and I was about to say that. I didn't forget.
Like, this guy's trying to get rid of me, and you got more shit to give away.
Yeah, we're gonna give away one more cabinet here. This one is a good one. This is Berserk. So this is the most recent arcade cabinet that you guys released, that you can actually go out and buy right now. You don't have to wait for a pre-order. You guys can go out and get this one right now if you're interested. It's $199, and this is just like the Frenzy, but it's got your Berserk artwork, but it's got both games. Yep. And this is the one, if you guys go watch my Frenzy review at Starfighters Arcade, this is the one that they had there, was Berserk. And even though it wasn't the exact same arcade, it was still great for comparison because the cabinet design is the same.
Yeah.
The games are made by the same developer. It has all the same features with the coin op, the PCB slot, the flickering marquee. So this is a good one. And I would say definitely get your hands on this if you haven't already. And we're about to give one away, so hopefully you win it and you can just get one for free. And I've come up with a question here on this one for us. Let's see here. So I'm going to go over this question. This is kind of a long explanation of where we're going with this. So Berserk is one of the first video games to use speech synthesis featuring talking robots. In 1980, computer voice compression was extremely expensive. What was the estimated cost to the manufacturer in US dollars per word? So what did it cost the manufacturer per word in US dollars? The first person to answer that will win a Berserk cabinet. And this is readily available online, so if you guys want to verify the answer to this question, there's multiple websites you can verify this at later. But whoever tells us what in US dollars it costs the manufacturer per word. And I think we got our first answer here, which is this one. I believe this was the first correct answer. We got a lot of other people that answered here. It looked like Jason had it too, but he was right behind, one chat behind 1/6 Junkie. Let me just verify here. We had Goofyfoot say 1,200. We had Video Game Vegas say 500. We had Thor KC say 5,000. We had AJ Jets Back 11 say 10,000. But so our first correct answer was 1/6 Junkie at $1,000. So for every word you're hearing from that robot voice, it cost them, which was Stern at the time, $1,000 per word. It was very expensive back then for them to be able to do that. This was one of the first arcades.
They had to be very selective on the phrases.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that stands out to me with this arcade when you have it in its track mode and it's playing, is those voices are so loud and like clear. You're hearing what it's saying constantly, and I think that just adds so much to this game when you're playing it and when it's in its track mode.
Love the voice synthesis. Remember it. Berserk was everywhere. Funny thing is, I don't think people realize what a huge game Berserk was. Mm-hmm. Because it's pretty old. I mean, it did come out in 1980, but there was 50,000 cabs out there in the wild. So that's a lot, And I will say this: we are down to, I believe, 100, or maybe even under 100 Berserk cabs.
Okay, so people got to move quick if they're going to get one of these.
Should probably grab one. Usually, when we say something like that, they go pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. So, are you going to bring it back again after that?
No, that's it. This is going to be it for both Berserk and Frenzy.
So this is a final chance for someone to get Berserk, and there's not many left. And I know you guys will send out an email when you get down to a lower amount. Are we going to expect an email this week with that if there's still some available?
I think so. I just kind of remembered, and that's why I said it. So Yeah, well, Eduardo, just remind me we need to do that.
Because you did that with the Frenzy, and I noticed the Frenzy went quick after you sent out that email.
Yeah, as soon as we say we hit a certain mark, and they'll just go. And we want to let people know when we're running low, so that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I like that you do that. Give everyone a heads up. Give everyone kind of an equal shot at getting one if they've been considering it.
Yeah.
And that's something good about New Wave Toys is y'all's communication. We've had a lot of problems with other companies in home arcade in their lack of communication, and it's great to hear and see you guys doing that. And we're always up to date and up to speed on what you guys are doing and where things are at.
Yeah. I mean, take the good with the bad with us, but you can definitely count on that. We are going to update you. Sometimes we don't do it in as timely as a manner as we would like to, but we have to have a solution in place to do the update. So I can't just come out and go, all right, guys, there's going to be a delay with Black Hole because our factory quit. But now what do? We don't know what the hell we're doing. No, there's already a plan. There's a new factory in place that we know, we trust. They're working on the tooling drawings, right? Because everything needs to be manufacturable and this, that, and the other thing. And then once that schedule is set with them and we know that, that's when we'll come back out and do the update, officially over email. But we'll always give a verbal update when we do these type of podcasts or live streams or whatever. We really enjoy doing these actually, and we want to do more. And in fact, we kind of want to do our own little one day too. Set it up there in the office and do a little live stream at the office.
That would be cool to get live streams more on the YouTube channel. I think you guys have done a really good job lately. Like these videos I've been showing this evening were videos that you posted on your YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, when we saw the render, it was great news, exciting news. But once we actually see it in action and we could see all the different like lighting and things that you can't see in a render, I think that's important, especially on a pre-order, because we have to know, what are we getting, and YouTube can help you guys with that.
And there you go. There's some track mode right there, right, for Golden Tee. And that's going to start blending in with everything else. And I appreciate you saying that because we've gotten good positive feedback about that. And we especially like showing what it looks like with the other products because everything needs to fit together with us, And what's special about Golden Tee? Well, it's huge. It has a massive cabinet. You can see it towers over everything else, especially with the topper on it. And it's actually a really, really cool cabinet. The side panels flare out on the top, right, with that curve. And if you look at the back's really neat. And we actually even include like the dolly handle, which is funny because I was talking to Josh at IT and he's telling me like, when you're trying to move those things around, that handle is too small, so it keeps on pinching people's hands. But he's like, it's good that it's there. But like, that cabinet is actually really pretty beautiful. And so anyways, thanks. Appreciate
it. And just talking about that, having all these cabinets next to each other in their track mode running. We're looking here, guys, at Qbert. That was one of your original ones. When did Qbert come out?
Qbert, I guess, was about 3 years ago now.
3 years, and then Space Ace. How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Okay, so that was before I got into New Wave Toys. I really love to get a Qbert and a Space Ace. Those would be good ones. Does the Space Ace have like a digital scoreboard?
Yes.
Like the real thing?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, the Space Ace, with us, we went and did the Magicon replica cab, right, which is pretty rare. That's the dedicated Space Ace cab. You not only have the proper scoreboard, but also the proper LED sequences for, cadet. It jumps around, illuminated from behind. Plus the skill level buttons also had an illumination sequence that they went through and the sound sequence that went with that. We have all that. Yeah, I mean, we don't miss any details like that. And in fact, I always go back to these guys that help us with the projects that are total gurus with the game. You know, I mean, like I know Space Ace pretty good, but I didn't know that, you know, how the sound was supposed to sync up with the skill level buttons. You know, you know, the guy David, who we had help us with that project, he did, and we were able to fix it. So it's like we're really, really, really big on arcade accuracy, and we love like these games that have something different about them. You know, like I just explained with the illuminated skill level buttons or whatever it might be.
And just one last question for you to kind of wrap things up. And this is kind of a hard question, maybe, is you guys teased for Space Ace and Dragon's Lair like a screen that would plug in and be above the unit. And what happened with that, or what's going on with that? Or was that just a tease that will never happen?
Oh, no. We definitely are making that. We had to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit with that product because, you know, we're trying to run a business. And yes, we could have launched it the way it was, but there's a scaling issue, and it only really works with our Dragon's Lair and our Space Ace, which is for most people is like, that's fine. You know, I want a spectator monitor in my mini arcade. So go ahead and launch it. But for us, we're like, we can sell a lot more of these mini CRT TVs if we have an RCA jack input in the back, so you could plug in your old VCR, or you can plug in, you know, whatever, an old gaming console and play games on it. When it has more features like that, it opens us up to a broader audience. And so we spent a lot of time actually developing it just so it would work with Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. But now we're like, okay, we have to make this a little bit better. So what we're doing is we're still working on the PCB design, but we want to have an RCA jack input on the back.
Okay. Very good information there, guys. I know there's been a lot of questions out there about that, constantly hearing that, and good to get some clarification. And look like you're there. It's coming soon. Announcement coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, we did a lot of work to make sure that that spectator monitor accessory will come to life. Absolutely, 100%. It's just taking us a little bit longer. But like, again, we can't just pigeonhole ourselves onto like, you know, just the people that bought Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. You know, we hope to get that on Amazon and open it up to a lot more people.
Okay. Very cool. Well, this has been a fantastic, great stream with you, Shilo. We've gotten a lot of really good information to unpack from this stream tonight, and I'm sure it'll be talked about throughout the week, and it'll be fun to interact and engage with that. Facebook, Reddit, we've got New Wave Toys groups on both those platforms. And is there anything you want to close us out with, Shilo, and kind of let everyone know before we close out the stream?
Yeah, I will just go right back to thanking everybody, I mean, from the bottom of our hearts, for your support and ongoing support and patience with us. And I think everybody knows that, you know, if we're taking a little bit longer, it's for the betterment of the product. And that'll always be the case. We always want to have top-notch products coming out, looking after our customer base, and keep growing that and retaining you guys. And, you know, we're just really proud of what we're doing because we know it brings a lot of joy into a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people are passionate about it and might get, you know, have their own opinion about certain things or this and that, and that's all fine. It's still a free world, you know, somewhat. So go ahead. And, but keep an open mind too, you know. It's like, you know, sometimes you don't really like an idea about something, but the more you think about it, you actually might come around and think it's cool, right? So, you know, what we're trying to do again is just blur the lines of you know, where we are in this day and time with what we're doing with this line of products and everything working together. and I'm really excited to show some more new expansions, if you will, that we have lined up, ready to go. And, we're excited to share all that stuff throughout the rest of this year. So thank you, everybody. Really, really appreciate your support.
Yeah, conventions, expos. We were at Cleveland Gaming
Yes.
Expo convention here in September of last year. Are we going to expect you guys anywhere? Will we see you anywhere?
We think we're going to do Portland.
Okay.
We missed it last year. I don't think we're going to be back at Cleveland. That was a bit of a long haul for us. It was really fun and it was really great meeting everybody, but probably only going to do Portland for the rest of the year. And then next year, we hope to have several more shows that we're going to hit.
Cool. I know a lot of us are going to be at Pinball Expo in Chicago. If you just want to come and hang out with us, we're going to go to Galloping Ghost. It'd be great to have you there.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe I'll come.
All right, guys.
I don't know if I'm going to make it, but yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to go to Galloping Ghosts.
I know. I've never been. And as an arcade fan, it just seems like that's like the perfect meetup spot for everyone. Largest arcade in the country. And
such unique shit in there. It's just like, if it's rare and it's crazy or a one-off or prototypes, and we love that stuff, So
it gives you inspiration and ideas when you go in places like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Those guys, a lot of respect for those boys over there.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to conclude our stream tonight with Shilo and New Wave Toys. I appreciate everyone who's joined in the chat. All your comments, everything makes this show so much better. You guys make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, and go check out New Wave Toys' website. Get one of those Berserks before they are sold out. It sounds like that's going to happen very soon. And we've got Zoltar coming out very soon. And we've got pinball, so all kinds of stuff we talked about. Looking forward to it, Shilo. And I'll see everyone in the next one.
Thanks, Daniel.
Talk to y'all later.